the Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 555. Meeple Nation, November 2024 news.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
That's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes.
It's like
155.
but 3 times.
It's more than 5 3 times.
But it's 555.
Yeah, that is true. Wow.
I'm not sure where I was going with that, but
I'm so glad neither of you went into mathematics.
yeah,
Because that's not at all how that works.
I'm not that kind of engineer.
The Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. One thing we're going to be talking a lot about this episode,
I doubt it.
is BGGCON, because we just got back and we're going to be discussing a whole lot of stuff. But one of the things we got to do while we were there was hang out with Berkey, and we all got to take a shift working at the Game Toppers booth. We got to meet some awesome people. We got to hawk some of the new Game Toppers wares, and it was really a great experience, I think, for all of us. One of the things that we love about Berkey is that he's constantly trying to innovate. He's constantly trying to solve problems for gamers, and that's what Game Toppers do. That's what the whole lineup of products is designed to do, to make amazing tabletop surfaces out of whatever you've got lying around, and then you can upgrade them from there, so you can build them into entire table solutions. You can trick them out with all kinds of accessories. He has some amazing new carriers for mats, so he's got some really great like mat storage solutions, and of course the best mats on the market. So definitely go check those out. If you are looking to upgrade your game room, it's the first place you should start. GameToppersLLC.com.
So we got to go out to dinner with Kevin Berkey afterwards, and we also got to play some games with Berkey, which is not something that we get to do very often because he's a busy guy. But we got to spend several hours with him and just talking about life in general and all the goodness and struggles that we face sometimes. And you know how you can say that, oh, hey, I know a guy who can do that? Well, Berkey is the guy. That guy's done everything.
Yeah, he's the guy. When people say, I know a guy, Berkey's the guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's been a computer owner. I'm a computer owner. Look at me. I'm special.
Yay,
A
Nathan.
computer company owner and, a stonemason and, oh, man.
Singer in a band.
Yeah, singer. And that guy.
Yep.
That guy's been everywhere, man.
Entrepreneur. Been there, done that.
Yeah. And so when you see the effort and energies that he puts into this, he is always 100% full steam ahead, and he puts all of his heart and love into everything, and it's definitely evident in his topper product. But my top hat off to that guy for sure. He is one amazing individual.
100%.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Andy Holiday.
And I'm Douglas Stewart.
We have a website. It's all there. All of it. That whole website.
Every single bit.
Every single bit, byte, data, frame, all of it is there. And we think it's okay.
Wow. I'm sold. I want to go there right now.
It really is the world's okayest website for the world's okayest podcast.
For the world's okayest podcast. Yes. No, it is full of Meeple Nation goodness. If you ever want to go back and find an episode that we reference or we talk about, and you can go find that on those lists there. But also, you can see links to our socials and our feeds and our pictures and some information about us. But also on that is you will find a link to our Patreon page. We love our patrons. Our patrons make all the goodness continue to happen, and we allow that extra boost in the arm that they give us. If you too want to be a patron, jump on over to our website and then skip on over to that Patreon site, and you too can become a patron. If we ever see you at a con, I will give you personally a crisp high five.
Awesome.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Worth the crisp high five. All right.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it is
What time is it?
for Highlight 30. 30.
It's Highlight 30. All right. So, as mentioned, we did go to a little convention called BGGCON in Dallas, Texas. We were able to spend 5 days there. And truth be told, we're going to peel this curtain back just a little bit. We got back last night.
Yes, we did.
We're not tired or struggling.
We're not tired at all.
Sleep deprivation at all.
Yeah. No, we record on Monday nights, and we flew in Sunday night. And Saturday night, we were up till 3. And then some fool made us get up a little too early to go to the airport. And we made it to the airport. And then that same fool was like, hey, let's play a game here at the gate, next to the gate that we got to go on. And we almost missed our flight because we were playing a game at the airport.
Yes, we did.
So you were just you got to elaborate on this just a little bit. You were so into the game that you didn't notice all of the people lining up and all the announcements.
Well, we were a
and
gate
everything.
Away. We were a gate away, so we weren't hearing the gate. We weren't hearing the announcements.
Oh, you were a gate away.
Yeah.
So you had missed.
There was a table.
Oh, gotcha.
And so we're just sitting there. We're lounging. We're playing a game. We're playing Imperial Settlers.
Imperial Miners.
They were something like that.
It had Imperial in it.
It had Imperial, and it wasn't Assault, but it was Imperial Miners, and which was kind of a fun game until I broke it.
Yeah, we played with the new expansion, and there's a card that it needs an errata.
Yeah,
it was way broken.
Yeah, I was.
So how far into this were you before someone finally perked up and went, holy cow, we got a plane to catch?
We were right close to the
We
edge.
were in the last round.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we had to quickly put it away.
We're scrambling to throw everything in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were quickly putting it away to get over there. We were the last people on the plane.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah.
I wasn't there because I took a different flight. But my flight was, it was just frustrating because it just kept getting delayed and moved to different gates. And if you've ever been to Dallas Fort Worth, when they make a gate change, that isn't too big of a deal. But when they change the terminal that the gate's located at, yeah, it got a little old.
Oh, you had to change terminals too?
Oh, yeah. I got good at riding that Skytram around to the different terminals.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, not really.
Not really.
Next time you should not ride the lame plane.
You should
I agree.
be on the fun bus.
I agree. I chose the cheap plane and regret it.
And it came with a side of regrets.
It did come with a side of regret.
Which is more disappointing than the little bag of sun chip crisp pieces that I got too. So that's saying a lot.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. Your in-flight meal was a bag of crumbled up sun chips?
Well, not even a bag. It was like you opened it up and you could smell it and then it was gone.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there were some pieces in there, some pieces of pieces.
So it's like opening a regular bag of sun chips and you've eaten them all and you have the leftover crumbs. Someone used that to fill the airplane snack bags.
Maybe I didn't ride the lame plane then because I got a full-size soda and some really nice biscuits.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, you take a win when you get one.
For sure, yeah. I did watch a really lame movie on the plane. I tried to read some more rules coming back, but I was a little burned out at that point.
Sure.
And started watching Borderlands.
Of all the movies you could have picked, I
Oh,
had to pick
really?
Borderlands. I heard it was terrible.
I heard it was terrible too,
Yeah.
but I was like, I'll give any movie a shot.
So
I didn't finish it, and I don't care,
So,
which is very unlike me.
so are you the type of person that if I said, "Hey, this is nasty, try it," you'd try it?
No, that brings up a funny story though. When my wife and I were dating, we went, we were going to see some Christmas lights, and we stopped and got some ice cream, and she pulls that this is gross. Do you want to try it? And I was like, you just said it was gross. Why would I try it? And then she comes back with it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's only a little gross.
Yeah. And then you taste it and she's like, that was really gross, huh?
Misery loves company.
It does.
That's awesome.
But beside the plane ride,
Yeah. Let's get back on track here.
Yeah, let's get off the plane ride.
BGG was awesome.
Yeah. The con was amazing.
Yeah, we met up with our friend Nathan Tenney from Washington, and the four of us had some good times. 4 is a great number for going to a con, I've decided.
It is.
Or at least comparing that to 5.
Yes.
Because when we've gone with 5, and sometimes it's tougher to pine. Sometimes it's tougher to find those higher 5-player games that are Good.
Yeah, if you can get a sixth person, then it's not bad. Then you get 2 tables of 3.
Yeah,
and you're set.
you can swap out and stuff. But 4 was great. We got to play almost all of our non-2-player games.
Yeah,
We did.
We made
Almost.
I made a super long list that was ridiculously long, and had everybody put a check mark on a game that they wanted to play. And the winner on that list, Doug,
was Apiary.
was Apiary.
And we did not play
We
Apiary.
didn't play Apiary.
But
One that all of us wanted to try again.
Yeah. But we did play a lot of really great games.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of have to start off, I don't think we need to go through like a chronological order of the games we played.
Absolutely
but
not.
we definitely have to start off with, I think what was probably the highlight for all of us, if
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
can dare say that, was absolutely Forges of Ravenshire. There we go. Forges of Ravenshire. This was a game that we actually got taught by the developer slash, I guess, designer slash
Yes.
publisher, BA Games. This was Sam Stockton, who came to our table and brought an amazing copy, a deluxeified copy of the game, taught it to us. We had such an amazing time playing it that I think we all walked out of there with a copy of our own.
Yeah, which was, it was really cool to be able to have Sam come spend some time with us. And that was after he had spent all day in the
Down in the trade show.
talking to people left and right. And when we were down there talking to him, he was like, well, hey, do you want me to come teach this to you? And we're like, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he did, and that was a highlight for sure. And he's a great guy. He's definitely somebody that I would totally fit in with our group. He had a lot of the same humor, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if he was barely adequate or not, but I definitely thought he was a good guy.
I think he was more than adequate. And the game was way more than adequate.
Yeah.
The game was amazing. This is a really cool game where you each kind of take on the role of blacksmith, and you're using dice. You're going to put dice out on the board, and those dice are going to fire up certain actions, and then you are going to pull a dice from the board. So kind of smacks a little bit of... What was that one of the North Sea? Raiders of the North Sea, where you kind of place a worker, take a worker kind of thing. So this works similar, except there are lots of different places, and you don't have to take a worker from the same place you played. So you're going to just play something down to the board and then take something from anywhere on the board, activating its ability. And then there's a whole phase where you are using all the resources that you gathered in the first part to fire up your forge and try to craft weapons and armor and stuff to gain renown as a blacksmith and fulfill orders.
So not only that, one of the things I liked about the dice replacement, or the kind of the worker replacement mechanic that kind of goes along the same lines as, like you said, as Raiders. So there were 3 different colors of dice, and the colors didn't matter on the main game board, but when you pull that die back, it totally matters because you're going to place that die on one of the 3 slots on your game board that you actually get to customize and upgrade with whatever you want, really, whatever's available as far as craftsmen.
The different guilds.
Or the guilds. Is that what it is?
Is that were they guilds? Oh, they might have been craftsmen.
Because you're higher.
I don't know. Yeah, but you get to fire off a whole chain. I loved that part.
And so if you have your green guild upgraded, for example, then you're probably going to be wanting to look for those green dice. Tenny, who was hoarding them, really, really irked me in that game. It's like, dude, stop hoarding all the green dice.
Lay off the green dice, Tenny.
But no, it benefits you to upgrade a lot of your guilds just for that reason. So you're not stuck on one. I need that one color die. But the other benefit to that is it each color kind of has its own strengths that okay, well, you're going to get more resources with the green. With the orange, you're going to get more of the commodities like the mithril and the not. I guess they weren't really resources. I can't remember what he called them, but
They're the mystics, I think.
Well, the mystics were part of it. You get mithril, mystics. You get the rubies. That's going to be more on the orange track, and then you have the purple track, which is going to be like coins and
commerce.
Yep, exactly. So I thought the game was wonderful. It looked amazing to begin with, and I was even pleasantly surprised once we got going how amazing it was.
Yeah. It didn't take very long to learn, pick up, and that was funny. That was one of those things that we were chuckling about afterwards, was that Sam was like, you guys picked up on that game really quick. And we're like, didn't think we did it exceptionally quick. I'm not sure who you're teaching games to, because it was a pretty straightforward game. The rules and the explanation was very clean cut. And I mean, this exactly like you said, each of us bought a copy of this, and something that was our highlight. I think every one of us had the same number one highlight game, and that was this one.
Yeah. So we highly recommend Forges of Ravenshire. If you're unfamiliar with it or haven't played it, definitely seek it out. It's worth your time. This is a really great game.
Yeah. And the next one, the next highlight, I think is pretty close to probably the same for all of us as well. Then after number 2, we'll probably diverge elsewhere.
Yeah, probably.
But Too Many Bones. Doug has Too Many Bones at home, but we checked out a copy of Too Many Bones from the library chip theory game and taught it to the rest of us. And that game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
And there's a lot of reading that goes with that, trying to understand your character. And once you get a hold of that, it very quickly becomes very intuitive. And the game just flew through. And we played it for 3.5 hours.
Something like that. It
Was it really even that long? Because
Yeah.
it felt like it went by in a flash.
It did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 3.5 hours.
Yeah, and it was one that I very much liked it because of the fact that I felt I was thoroughly involved the whole game.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was bored waiting for my turn to come around. It was very much an active game the whole time I was playing.
I was happy that you were thoroughly involved with the whole game too, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Life sucks sometimes. Then you play a game with me and you realize how bad life sucks.
Yeah, this is a personal favorite of mine. I've loved this game for a long time. I played it a lot when I first got it, and then I collected a bunch of expansions and extra characters. I dabbled in the characters, but not the expansions as much. And then it sat dormant for a little while, and so I was really excited. I recently got this back out and have just been playing it. I played a couple games solo, so not extensively, but I played a couple games. Then we got to play it at the convention. So now I'm really excited that there's some fervor for it, and hopefully we can get this out and play a longer game of it, a longer scenario. I mean, it's a sort of a campaign game that gets condensed into one game.
Yeah.
And you just sort of decide how long you want that game to be, right? We played a short game, which was, like I said, about 3.5 hours, although that did come with the teach. But then, some of the longer games can be, they'll triple that time. So you kind of have to decide how much you want to invest and if you want to find a good breaking spot to kind of, break it up or whatever. But one of the nice things about playing it, one of the longer adventures, is you really feel like you get to upgrade your character. Like you're unlocking loads of dice and you get a lot of your core stats upgraded. Yep. And when the fights break out and hit, you really feel like you are creating awesome synergies and combos with those dice, and you're executing your backup plans and locking dice. And it really turns into, I think, a really fun experience.
Yeah, I say like I could compare it to the other experience, but I definitely felt that the experience I had was I was able to flesh out my character quite well and got a handle for their key abilities and some of those special abilities, and was doing exactly what I wanted to do with the character. So yeah, Too Many Bones was awesome.
Fantastic.
And then this is where we may start to diverge.
Yeah, I think my third, we got to get Big Trouble in Little China to the table. And that was my third top game.
It was so good.
It was so fun.
Yeah, and that was one that I was kind of surprised to. I was playing a game at the other table, and you guys were. I can't even remember who I was playing with.
You were playing with Trent and Doug.
Oh, that's right, because I can't remember why. Anyways, we had broken up for a little bit.
Well, someone had to go do spent some time at the booth.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly why the other, but yeah, it was so you and I and Trent had kind of gone off in one direction. And then when we got done with that game, Tenny and Andy were back from whatever they were doing, and we busted out Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Andy interrupted and said, "Hey, look what I got." And I was like, Who's prepared to play that? So we had to do a quick rules refresh, and it actually worked out great. It was a blast.
And I will admit, this is it looked like kind of a campy sort of out there game.
Well, you haven't seen the movie.
Based on a pretty campy out there kind of movie from the 80s that I haven't seen.
It nailed it.
And while you were reading rules and kind of re-familiarizing yourself with it, I was sitting back there going man, is this really what we want to play? Are we sure about this? I don't know. But man, once we hit the ground running, it was awesome. It was really awesome. And the way that they laid out the story was really good because it wasn't just walls of text. It wasn't overwrought at all, but it gave you enough, and the flavor and comedy in the writing was good enough that it was like, okay, I'm kind of invested. I kind of want to know what happens next. And, I told you guys this, halfway through playing that game, I was like, okay, I definitely need to go watch this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll piece so much together because they follow, you in the movie's only, I think, 90 minutes or whatever. And this campaign game, and it's not even a campaign game, but the story-driven game flushes out a lot of those little stories of everybody from uncle, cousin, what was his name? I think it was Eddie.
Cousin Eddie?
Cousin Eddie.
That's
that's
Christmas
from
Story.
Christmas Story.
Wow, we're getting some weird crossover happening here.
Yeah.
I would play Cousin Eddie in that game. I'm in.
But anyways, you play the cousin, and you can play. You were playing Wing. I was playing Egg, and it really does make me want to go see the movie again because there are so many great little one-line shots in there, and it is 100% campy, and it is 100% cheesy
And terrible acting.
It is 100% from the 80s.
Yes, it is.
No doubt about it, and
But really fun to watch.
yeah. It's a great movie. One of my favorites, all-time favorite movies.
Well, we were talking about earlier, we just got back last night, so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I have started it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I mean, I've just barely. I'm like, is it the uncle who's sitting down with the lawyer at the beginning? And he's
Egg.
like,
It's Egg.
Yeah,
that's
not
Egg,
uncle.
right?
He's just Egg.
Oh,
yeah,
just Egg. Okay. But it's,
Ginseng.
he's like, you leave Jack Burton alone.
Yeah, the lightning.
We owe him a debt. Yeah. And he pulls out the lightning.
Yeah.
And the lawyer just kind of takes it like, oh, wow. It's like, no, the proper response to that is like to get up and run. Like, what is happening?
Yep, yeah. No, there's so many great lines. And did you get to the part where Wang is trying to cut the bottle in half?
Not yet. No. I
So
literally
You
just started.
barely started then,
Yeah.
because that's like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the first 10 minutes. So yeah, so that's you got a lot to look forward to, a lot of little one lines, and then we'll have to watch it again so I can enjoy it and
Sounds good.
ruin it by saying all the lines right before they happen. How'd you get up there? Wasn't easy. Anyways, neither here nor there. So my next game was one that I'd played online a couple of times, and after going back and taking my turn since we've gotten back, I need to play this again. But that was 51st State, and I very much enjoyed this game, but there's still some nuance that I'm missing, and I want to play this game again.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've always really liked 51st State. I picked this up years ago, and anytime I can get it out and play it, I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know that it's like really high up on my all-time favorites, but it's just so solid. It's a really solid experience every time you get it out. And it has so many little like expansions, but they're really just kind of decks that you mix in. There's a couple of the expansions that add some mechanics and some different things. Moloch in particular adds sort of almost like a cooperative element where you kind of have to, as a group, fend off these invading like robot cyborg kind of things. But for the most part, it's just cards that you're mixing into that deck. And so you can really switch up the experience that you have based on the deck that you mix in with the base deck. And so it's got a ton of replayability, and I think it's just really fun. Resource management and actions, just taking actions and efficiency. It's really good.
Yeah, it's not going to show up on my top 30 by any means, but I want to play it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what do you got next, Doug?
So I was really impressed with River of Gold.
This is a great game. I really like this game.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So the whole thing where you have two boats and you're moving them down the river, and then they, once you get to the end, they can kind of reset back to the beginning. But this idea that you're moving them down and taking all of the actions on the shore, and then by triggering those actions, you're spending resources to make some of those locations better for others when they take that action, but also giving you benefits. It does a really good job at keeping everyone engaged in the
Yes.
game the whole time, because you are watching to see what other players do in case they trigger additional resources and things for you, which I think is always really nice. If you're going to, if a game's going to have everyone taking turns, it's nice when the things that somebody else could do could give you some residual stuff. This is kind of, it's the concept that Earth is sort of based around, right? Like where everything's kind of net positive for players. Not comparing it to Earth, but just saying it's the same like design philosophy a little bit, where you're generating a lot of positive things for all players at all times.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not playing anything that's actively taking something away from anybody.
Correct. Yeah. And then just the way that you're building out those, and I forget what they're called, but the character cards that you like, the monk and the elder,
the five classes, the noble, the monk, the merchant, and two others.
Yeah, because it's totally possible to acquire all of those in the course of a game, but the order in which you acquire them, I think, is going to direct a lot of your strategy, because they give you some good perks. Each one of them gives you good perks as you play the game. And so, by prioritizing, one over the other, you might play the game a little bit different. I think it increases replayability in that way. I thought the artwork on this was awesome. It has an Asian theme to it, and the artwork was really well done. I felt like the components were really well done. This was just a hit for me. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It was very good.
Yeah, it's based in the L5R series, Legends of the Five Rings.
That's right.
And that's why we had several people that would stop and look at it with a kind of a befuddled look on there, and they're like, "What's this?"
Yeah, they were familiar with Legend of the Five Rings, but it was like,
familiar
but what's
with
this?
all the artwork, but it looked different. And so when we'd say, "Oh, it's River of Gold," and they're like, "Man, it looks like L5R." Well, there's a reason for that, yeah. But I very much enjoyed this game. There is an application, or there's an implementation of this on BGA.
Gotcha.
And I've played it with Jody a couple of times, and apparently I like it more than Jody. But Jody said he didn't dislike it, but he's not out in a hurry to buy it. And I was like, well, it's one that I own, and we're going to be playing a couple of times. So
good. Yeah,
River of Gold I thought it was very good. And Andy, you didn't get the chance to play this one, did you? You were off at this point.
Yeah, I think this is this when you guys were playing when I was in the booth?
I'm not sure. No, this is one we played early on.
Oh, was it?
And I think you had a phone call.
I think
you had some work issues that kept
conducting business.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was probably the phone calls because it was my birthday over the.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was your birthday while we were there,
was.
and everybody in the world. I didn't realize how popular you were.
Well, once a year.
Once a year. Sun
We were
shines
thinking,
all over you.
we're going to celebrate Andy's birthday by playing games all day long. And then it turned into, where's Andy? He's off taking another birthday phone call. And Andy was on the phone all day long.
Yeah. So. And how long does it take to say happy birthday? I mean, you got to have a...
Hey, there's people want to talk to me. What can I say? I'm a talkative guy.
No, you are not.
Okay. Well, that's not true.
Of all the adjectives to describe you, that is not the one.
You are not wrong. I have some very talkative family members, though.
I can believe that. I'll buy that. So another one that we got to the table that I really liked was the White Castle.
Yeah,
and this is one that Doug and I had played early on. We just played it 2 players, I believe.
With Trent. Trent was there.
Oh, we did play it with Trent, and then we played it with you and Nathan.
This was the last game of the con.
It was. Yeah, we were up till 2-ish in the morning.
2:30, yeah.
Finishing this one up. Yep.
And poor Nathan didn't get it at all.
Yeah, he was pretty angry by the end of that. That play.
He'd had a rough game of Reavers
the Midgard, the card game.
Before, and some of that frustration.
He was frustrated and tired, and I don't think he fully understood the game, and it was really coming out. And it was, and I mean, he finished the game. He had as good of an attitude as he could have. We're definitely not speaking ill of him, but it was very clear that he had enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I did feel bad that he was done.
Yes.
But I very much enjoy the White Castle, and it has the matcha expansion.
Matcha expansion. I just picked that up today. So I was able to get a copy of this at the convention. So I was really excited about that because it's basically been out of print everywhere. So I picked up one of the very last copies that they had at the convention, but they didn't have any of the matcha expansion. And I went and checked a bunch of places online. The matcha expansion is sold out there too. But I did find one online retailer that did have one in stock. then I had to pay just a little bit extra in shipping.
Oh,
But
you got it.
worth it. Yeah, and it wasn't too expensive. I mean, it was still only like $20 or something like that. So
well, good.
yep. So I'm excited to implement that in and see. And from what little research I've been able to do, Andy, I think the matcha expansion smooths over some of the issues that I know you had. I mean, I think you enjoyed the game, but you had pointed out that depending on what cards come out, because as the game is played, some of those cards are going to get taken to people's tableaus and new ones will come out. It's possible for some of the main actions, those icons on the cards, the main action icons, it's possible that there are not enough of them to do some of the actions that you want to do, especially if other players beat you to it. Yeah. And from what I understand, this matcha expansion kind of smooths that out a little bit.
That's good, because I guess that was the last round. I was having fun through the whole thing, but the last round was kind of frustrating just because you spend the first 2 rounds preparing to do one specific thing, and then it gets to that last round and there are no cards. All the dice have been placed, so that action is just not available at all.
Yeah, and it is only 3 rounds, a very quick game, and until the AP comes around.
Yeah.
And it's going to be inevitable in this game because there is so much that changes so quickly from player to player, not like quite to the levels, not quite to the level as like 5 Tribes, which is a game that I just despised because at the start, by the time I got to there was no pre-planning, right? You couldn't pre-plan anything with that game. Yeah. And you can quite a bit with the White Castle still, but you have to be willing to bend because there's a pretty good chance that what you were planning on doing, it's not going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. And then we just solidified the fact that our group really doesn't like direct confrontation games. Really at all.
Yeah, I was really bummed out. I don't mind them as much as you guys despise them, as maybe you despise them, Andy. I think you probably despise them the most.
I probably do, but I think I enjoyed ARCs more than Doug did.
So,
really?
So I do feel like this conversation does need some clarification. Direct conflict does not bother me that much. It's not my favorite, but it's not something that like I'm really turned off by. It is direct conflict that is resolved through the rolling of random dice. I don't mind direct conflict if there's some strategy. If we're playing cards and we have like a way of really thinking through how we want the outcomes, and if both players involved in the conflict have input in how the conflict resolves. This was just, I'm moving my stuff over here and I'm going to roll some dice. And oh, look, all your ships are dead.
Yeah,
because I rolled really well.
I'm going to roll dice.
And then it's
You're
like,
not.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do the same thing to you then. Oh, look, I rolled really poorly. I'm dead. You know, like no, and I know that this is a beloved game. I know that a lot of people like it. That is never ever a mechanism or a way of resolving things that I'm ever going to like. And I honestly don't see why people like it. I honestly I do not think ARCS is a good game. I genuinely do not think that it is a good game. I think it is a poorly designed game, and I think that it has gotten a lot of hype, and I think that a lot of that hype is not deserved. And I am speaking harshly against it because it is roll dice to resolve conflict. This is like Risk or Axis and Allies level rolling dice to resolve conflict stuff.
It's not like Risk, because Risk both players roll dice.
Oh, that's true.
Well, that is disappointing because I have this game coming and I was excited for it. Yeah. And I still am excited to play it, but I guess just not with you guys.
Yeah.
Which means I'm not going to play it.
The card play thing, I think, had some interesting elements. I've heard a lot of people say it's like trick taking kind of thing. And it's like, no, it's not trick taking. There's some like suit matching.
Yeah.
But this is not a trick take. There's no trick taking at all.
I think what they were saying is where that's the part where it's like a trick taking game. You're not really taking any of the tricks. You're just trying to, you
have to match the lead color or else there's a penalty.
There's like a trump suit. Right. And I do get that. But I've heard a lot of people talk about this as like, oh yeah, kind of like the trick taking element and aspect of the game I think is really interesting and stuff. And it's like, people need to stop talking about it like that. It's not at all like a trick taking game. You do have to match, or you actually don't have to match the suit that's played. Right. You just get some added benefits if you do.
Right.
And that right there is the sum total of where, of its similarities to a trick taking game.
And it determines start player.
Yeah.
For the next round.
And that was my one flaw with the game. That was my frustration with the game too, is that if there's very few cards that you're going to be dealt. And so if in those 4 or 5 cards that you got, if you manage to not get one of the lead suit,
Yeah.
and somebody's in control of that. I mean, there was the first round. I didn't have anything that was even
The random luck.
matched the suit.
Yeah. The random luck of the cards that I got for the first 2 rounds completely locked me out of being able to take the first player marker and be able to like decide a suit and actually take a significant number of options.
Yeah.
I couldn't even match the suit. I was just taking the cards that had like one action. And that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have options. It wasn't like, oh, you're not strategically getting the game or anything like that. It's like, no, this is all I can do. No matter what card I choose, I can take one action and that's it.
Well, there is ways that you can get around that. I mean, you can play 2 actions and you can take control of the lead color and take control of the run and be the lead player the next time.
That is true.
That comes
that is true.
at what I feel is a very steep cost.
Yeah, that is a steep cost.
Yeah, because you're giving up an entire
an action.
card.
Yeah.
Right. Which could be, it could just be one action, but depending on what somebody else plays, it also could be multiple actions depending on the number of pips on those cards.
Yeah.
So that's a huge gamble just to take the first player card.
But I would love to give it another try, maybe even 2 tries to just see if that fleshes out. And we were just playing with the base game. There's quite a bit of extra content out there that does change it up. This is from the same people who did Root and Oath. So there is definitely going to be variable powers in there, alternative ways of doing stuff. But to struggle so much with just the base game, it doesn't make me super excited to play it again, but I do want to try it again to give it a fair shake, but I don't know who I'm going to shake that with.
Definitely not me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely completely out. That
Maybe
game
Sonora.
I would be
does
willing
not work
to.
for me.
I would be willing to with a 2-player, just 2 players.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give that a try.
I don't mind direct conflict games when it's a 2-player game. It's just too easy for one person to get ganged up on.
Or a 4-player game. No, we played with 4 players.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I see the frustration of that because when somebody starts to get picked on, they're vulnerable, right?
Right.
And that does, unless we were missing something, to me, that leads to a whole line for possible player elimination.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I really wanted to like ARCs more.
That's another thing we did talk about though, right? Because there might be something in the rule book that does say something about being able to come back into the game or something like that. But this does seem like it is a player elimination game. I mean, if a player has all their units, you're done. If you get all your stuff wiped out, it's over. So that's another tick against it in my book. But again, don't have a problem with direct conflict and don't have a problem with area control at all, really. Like I said, it's not the first thing that I gravitate to, but I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have is just roll dice to resolve conflict. And conflict isn't the only way to score points in the game, to be fair. There are other avenues to score points, but that's a big part of what you're doing is trying to gain influence and control over the different areas. That has all that is the central conceit.
Yes.
Well, and the map is purposefully made small to force you to go into that direct conflict.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. All right. Well, that's enough about ARCs.
All right. Is that all we want to talk about with BGG? We had a ton of fun, played a lot of fun games. Any other games you guys want to talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe we don't have to spend quite as much time on them. I was really excited that I got to teach you guys how to play Marvel Champions. I think that was the first time both of you have played that.
No, I own a lot
that's
of that,
right. No, it was the first time Tenny had played it. And Andy, you've played it before. Okay. But I was still really excited. And all they had in the library was the core box. So we just played core box stuff. And I made the mistake of telling you guys like, okay, well, we're going to have to do some deck building before we get going. It's going to take a little while to build a deck. And then we pulled out the base game copy cards. And it was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah,
just pick your aspect and take all the cards because there's barely enough to build decks for 4 players. And so, the deck building really wasn't a thing. I forgot how small the card library was with that first iteration of the game. But we played against Rhino. It was a 4-player game. We didn't up the difficulty. There are some ways you can up the difficulty and stuff on it. So it was a standard game.
Felt pretty difficult.
And it lasted a little while. We struggled until we finally kind of rounded the curve on getting all of our assets and stuff out. And then I think we were able to put some hurt on the bad guy, I guess we'd say.
Yeah.
But
we got some other ones that I was interested in for sure. We got to play Moon Rollers, which is roll and a dice version of Moonrakers. And I thought this one turned out to be pretty fun. It's very simple, but had some elements in it that I quite enjoyed. So it uses a lot of the same artwork, classy looking cards, but you're rolling dice to try to influence crew members to join your crew, and you want to get one of each of the 5 colors on your crew, or 3 of one color to end the game, and then whoever has the most points is going to win. Each character has 3 to 4 attributes that you're trying to influence, and you have to influence those completely, or else all your dice are wiped off. Each attribute completely, not all of them. And so then that if you can't complete them all, then somebody else can also come and add attributes to that card. And whoever completes all of the attributes on the card takes the card, but then each attribute is assigned points. So you can use it to get the skills that are on the cards, or use it to complete your sets. But mostly you're going to try to get your dice. You're trying to get your dice on cards so that you can score points. We played this 3 times. I really quite liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I like the fact that you pick up the cards to give yourself some just different things you can do that is asymmetric from other players. It can be strategic to get specific cards that may have a little bit better ability but fewer points, just because it will hopefully help you get some of those bigger point cards later in the round. Yeah, as far as a simple pressure luck game, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and it definitely is a pressure luck game.
I enjoyed the exploding dice mechanism, like where certain dice, the pip
purple
that shows,
side.
the purple side allows you to gather more dice, and that made that did offer some strategy, right? Because rather than maybe committing a bunch of your dice to one of those aspects on a card, maybe you wanted to only commit one so that you had an opportunity to roll more purple dice and possibly explode and get more. That was part of the pressure luck thing that worked for me, and I thought that it worked well, and that was something that I enjoyed. I do think the game, I feel like it was just maybe a little bit long for what it offered, and perhaps that was just because we were playing it at a higher player count, but given what it was, I mean, I think that one game of it took almost it was like an hour and a half. That first game that we played with Berkey with all 5 of us.
Yeah, but we were talking a lot too.
And that's true, but I do feel like people were still rolling as we were talking.
Yeah, to an extent.
And my whole point is just like, for what the game is, which is basically just rolling dice and putting cubes on some cards.
That's true.
I felt like it was too long for what it offered, but I do feel like it was a good game. And at 2 or 3 players, I think it's particularly good.
Yeah, it'd be really snappy at 2 players.
And I can't remember who I played. I think we played it with Tenny. Tenny and I played at 2 players, and it went really well. And it was pretty quick, which is why I started it with Trent and Berkey, because I thought it was going to be really quick. And then it went from 3 to 5 players, and it did kind of outlive its welcome. I do see some of that. The higher player count does tend to bog the game down, but as a 2-player game, it shined really well. And then we played it again. Tenny, myself, and Trent played it a 3-player one, and it did slow down quite a bit, even just adding one more player.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably my only observation, really. I thought that it was a good little filler game, but it's no longer a filler game beyond, I think, 2 players.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's just maybe something to know about it. But yeah, I liked it. It was fine. I felt like a little gem. I felt like we always find these little gems when we go to conventions like this. Donut shop. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Because very simple game. This is just a really simple, light tile laying game. But I thought it packed a pretty good wallop. It was a lot of fun.
It was a
really
treat,
fun
for sure.
game. Yeah. You play tiles that have donut. It was a treat. I see what you did there. It was a treat. But you
It had
basically
holes in it. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Good heavens.
Wow.
But you're playing tiles that have donuts on them. You're matching symbols, and you're going to gain money if you can create, basically orthogonally adjacent chains of the donuts. And like, it actually gets pretty fun, because as some of those groupings get big, you can, find ways to match your tiles in such a way that you can create these really big areas of single types of donuts, and you get a bunch of money, and it feels very satisfying. But I think the really cool part of the game is that you can box up the donuts. So you have orders, and if you can play orders down that match the different donut types, you can take these little boxes, these little cardboard pieces, and put them over the tiles that are sitting out on the table, and then those become unavailable for other people to use. Once they're boxed up, they're gone. So people can't chain off of them or box them up themselves. And the puzzle part of that I thought was really fun. So there's this tile laying and matching aspect of it. And then there's also kind of this puzzle where you're trying to collect the right order so that you can create big boxes of donuts. I thought this was a fun little game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It does also have a BGA implementation. So I may be picking
I don't know that
up.
it does.
Isn't that what we started? That was Donut Shop, huh?
Yeah. So the one that you invited me to was just called Donuts. And it's definitely not Donut Shop.
Bummer.
Now,
It has the same. I thought it had the
it
same.
It might have an implementation on BGA, but it wasn't the one you invited me to.
All right. So never mind then. Just cut all of that.
Just buy the game and play it in real life.
Yeah.
So that it counts.
Yeah.
It does count. It's my app. I can count what I want.
It of course does count because there's not a BGA implementation. So yes, you're right. Good job, Nathan. We got to play. I've been wanting to play Hive for quite some time. So while we were waiting for Doug's lame plane to get in,
The lame plane.
Nathan taught me Hive Pocket, and I thought it was really kind of a cool little game. He compared it to chess, and it definitely had a chess feel, but one of those where nothing's linear, so you really have to pay attention to what's going on with all the tiles coming down. And I found out, luckily not too late, but I found out that it is quite beneficial to save a few tiles to block people.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
But
And just to go ahead.
I was just saying, so thanks to Nathan for teaching me that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And just so those chess players don't get mad out there, I'm not saying this is chess or anything like that.
It's like way, way harder than chess. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but you have certain pieces that move in certain directions, and it is all about capturing the other player's queen, where you're trying to capture the king in chess, and it has that level of deep thinking where you're trying to plan each move and you're trying to keep your eye on each move and how each piece moves differently and how you can take benefit of your opponent's lack of experience and crush them. I got beat, by the way.
Nice. Way to go, Andy.
I had to cry and go sulk in the car. We're waiting for Doug to show up on the lame plane.
That's awesome. We did get a chance to play Lost Ruins of Arnak. So while Andy was doing his shift at the booth,
You guys are awesome, by the way.
I busted this out, and Nathan was not excited when he saw it on the table.
Hesitant for sure. I walked up to the table, saw it, and I was like,
And I made sure that I gave everyone an out. I was like, hey, look, I'll teach this because you talked about wanting to try it again, but there's a whole library full of games, and we can totally go pick something else. And I think you and Tenny were kind of like, I don't know, you were
I
hesitant.
don't know how Tenny felt, but I was
Tenny was a little on the fence too.
Yeah, I was definitely hesitant.
But you did give the green light. You were like, no, let's do it. Let's try it. Whatever. So I busted out, did a little quick refresh because both of you have technically played this. It's just been a while.
Yes.
So I did a quick
And none of us had played with the
expedition leaders.
expedition leaders.
Right. So I did a quick teach, refresh, laid out what was involved with the expeditionary leaders, and we got to play this game. And I don't know if I changed your mind. I don't know if it changed your mind completely, but I do feel like maybe you have a slightly higher opinion of it.
Yeah, I didn't die. I mean, I thought I would at first. And so I was a little nervous. But no, I actually did enjoy myself with this, and I would be willing to play it again. I think as we were setting it up and discussed, I just have had opportunities where I've played games with people who've soured the experience for me.
Did you say you set up and discussed?
Yeah, we set up the game, and then we discussed.
Discussed. Sorry, I thought like discussed.
No, we didn't
like,
set it up in discuss.
That's what I thought you said. Sorry.
Well, we
up
sort of
and
did.
discussed.
And discussed.
And
Okay.
then we got kind of past the discuss.
Okay.
And then we started to discuss,
Oh, good
which
grief.
was related to the discuss. So we discussed the discuss.
What have
and
I done?
This conversation is disgusting.
So I guess my beef with this game, and yes, I haven't played with any of the expansions. My beef was we would finish the game and I was just left
Yeah.
wanting more, like there was something missing. Like, okay, I wish there was more to this than what there is. Did you get that feeling? Did the expansion fix that?
No. There was still an element that I'm like, the sidetrack that you're trying to go up it feels too restrictive. And I guess if they did make the resources more lucrative and more available, it would be way too easy.
It'd be way too easy.
Yeah, and so I understand the balancing act that's trying to happen there.
It's funny that you say that because you were higher. Both of you, both your magnifying glass and your book were higher than anyone else's on that track.
Yeah, and the reason was because I knew from games played in the past that was the path to victory.
Sure.
And I didn't win, did I? I don't think I won.
I wonder if there's an app.
You didn't, but only because I hunted the
monsters. Yeah,
it was really close. I think it was only like 6 or 7 points between us.
Yeah, I would still play it again.
Okay.
And,
I mean, I don't know. I've sort of come to the realization that for various reasons, whether it was you just didn't like the game or it was the people that you played with, there are just some games that I think are ruined. And I've sort of, there are games that are very beloved to me. There's actually a list of them. And I've sort of had the attitude that like I need to champion these games. I need to get them back to the table. I need to make you guys like these games. They're all BGA or all BGG top 100 games. And I know, they're well loved by the community and they're some of my favorites and stuff. But I think what I've come to the realization is I need to just let it go. If I want to play them, I just need to find other people to play them with.
So are you talking about Ark Nova and A Feast for Odin and
Endless
Terraforming
Winter,
Endless
Terraforming Mars.
I liked Endless Winter.
Lost Ruins of Arnak, Dune Imperium Uprising.
I haven't played
Merchants of the Dark Road.
Merchants of the Dark Road.
Okay,
My Father's Work. Yeah, there's a number of them. Yep.
I liked My Father's Work too. Other than it was an issue with the narration or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember my first play of that. I broke the game because the app was in.
That's right. I kept calling you to wake you up or texting you or something.
Yeah, because the app was in its alpha stage and it messed up and we had to start all over.
He's like,
and
dang it. Time to go home.
I am so happy that screwed up.
Yeah, I remember that. That was part. But again, that was it was the people and it was the circumstance that you got exposed to the game.
Right, yeah, and we're all like that, right?
Sure, and I am too. Yep.
Yeah,
100%. There are definitely games that I won't play. So
yeah,
so it's all good, I guess is what I'm saying. I kind of had it was a growing epiphany kind of moment for me there, where I was like, these are some of my favorite games, but I don't need to try to force them on you guys.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you were forcing them on anybody, but I definitely see the ideal for trying them again. Like I've said, I'm anxious to try Ark Nova again, especially with just the three of us to give it a different experience. And same thing with Terraforming Mars. And I don't hate Terraforming Mars as much as Andy does, but I also have similar frustrations that Andy does. So it's not all that bad. But I even tried to start a game of Terraforming Mars online with you, Doug, and it's been too long since either of us had played it.
Yeah, at this point, I need a rules refresh on that for sure. A lot of it too is I've played too much of Ares Expedition, and then I wouldn't say that I don't think the dice game has really thrown off but in particular because of Ares Expedition and because of some of the mechanisms that are very close but not the same. We got on there to play, and I was like, ooh, I don't remember.
Yeah, some of the
stuff
blends together.
Yeah, so I need to do a reread of the rule book before I jump back in there. But yeah, mostly it's just like I think it's just if you guys want to play it and you want to initiate it, great. But if not, I'm good. We can move on. There's lots of games out there.
Lots of games, too many or too little nights.
It's true.
Sparks. Andy, you taught us Sparks.
I did. I really liked it. It was a cool little game. I like that it plays quickly. I think it's one of those that's not quite a filler game, because it's probably going to take about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to play. But it is a simple, straightforward, fun little game. It's one that I probably will pick up.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I'm glad you'll pick it up
as well.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily feel compelled to own it, but I do want to play it again. It's definitely. I think I compared it to it's sort of a Gizmos-esque kind of game.
Yeah,
and I like it. I like Gizmos, and I liked this. It's sort of almost like Gizmos meets Racing Robots Light.
Yeah. I think it's
for sure.
I think it's one my kids will like. I can see Amara and Sierra both really liking this game.
Nice.
And one more that I want to talk about that was also kind of a pleasant surprise was Magical Treehouse. We played this, Doug, you, Tenny, and myself. This is while Nathan was in the booth for Game Toppers. And I think it's one that Nathan would enjoy too. So it's a drafting game.
I do too.
It's a very interesting drafting mechanic where you're passing cards, but you don't. The stack of cards that is being passed to you can grow depending on how fast the person next to you is drafting. And if you run out of cards that the person is not passing cards, you can draw cards. You have a deck of cards that you can draw from instead of waiting for cards to get drafted to you.
My experience with it playing at 3 players was that drafting slower gave me bigger stacks of cards to look at.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. But I also felt like there was almost like this tiny turbo cars sort of rush to get that done. And it created some anxiety. And then when the dust settled, it was kind of like, why were we in such a hurry to do that?
Yeah. I mean, you get biscuits, right? And you can use those biscuits to force players to pass you cards. But none of us ever used them. We just use them for points at the end of the game.
Yep.
But no, I thought it was fun. You're planting trees and growing trees, making them the levels, basically tree houses, and you're growing the levels higher and higher. Each level is going to give you different abilities. Each tree, there's different tree colors that will have different abilities on them. For example, you're producing potions, and you'll have some buildings in your tree house or rooms that will consume those potions, but you have to have them attached with pipes underneath the ground. So you have to play pipe cards to attach your trees to each other in order to score points at the end of the game. So I think there's enough strategy involved we only played it the one time. It would be interesting to play it again to see how I would play it differently, knowing what cards are out there. So if you're drafting, you're like, okay, I'm going to go with this strategy. I'm going to look for these cards when I draft, and maybe drafting would take a little less time at that point, just because you are looking for very specific cards. Whereas we were just like, yep, that's a level 1. Yeah, that's a level 2 of the same color.
For sure. It needs more plays to flesh that out a little bit. I did think that it was cool though, because the lower level, I think it was the level 1 cards, give you the familiars that you can put out on the board to gather resources.
Yes.
But the abilities to use all that stuff comes when you build the tree high. So you have to build wide and high. Like you kind of have to spread out so you can gather resources with the lower cards, but then you also need to pick at least 2 or 3 that you're trying to build up high so that you can do something with those resources.
Yeah, for sure.
And I thought the balance there was kind of cool. I liked it. I thought it was good. It was a neat little game.
It sounds fun. I think to try it.
I think you would like it, Nathan.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, one more that I wanted to just throw out there and talk about was Inori. So this is a game that Nathan taught. Was it me and Tenny?
Yes.
Was it the 3 of us playing? This was a game that I absolutely loved. Like everything about it, other than those dumb tiles that are they're not take that tiles. They are, I'm going to turn this over and completely wreck your game tiles. And I hate that. Those tiles are not okay. There was a bad design choice. Other than that, the game is actually really good. I liked it a lot. The puzzle of putting your little, I guess you call them workers, but you're putting them out there on the different slots. The offerings, right? The way you're filling up the different cards, taking some of the powers on the side, gathering resources. I liked how, it's all based on sort of what you have the most of in terms of resources. Like you're always kind of monitoring how much of each of the 6 different resources you have, because that's going to determine a lot of times what you have to pay, what you're going to get. I thought that it was a clever little game. I liked Inori quite a bit. I would just take those 4 or 5 tiles out, and I would just probably throw them in the fire. But that's just me.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel.
I thought the tiles were just fine. I think you just weren't, I explained them, and I just don't think people really grasped the explanation of them. And so when I took advantage of them at the end, it was kind of it felt like I pulled the rug out from under you.
So you're probably right, but they were also, when you say pull the rug out from underneath you, it's I'm going to undo everything you did this entire round, which is what you did. That is what happened.
Well, it was preventing you from scoring. The goal of those is to prevent you from scoring certain things. And it's a catch-up mechanic for...
the leader could get those tiles too.
Yeah, that's true. But it is kind of to help manage that and mitigate that, so that if you are in that behind, then you can go for those extra tiles. I think they have a place in the game. And I totally get the frustration for sure, especially the way it was sprung on you. And but I don't know. I thought it was a well balanced piece of the game. Still,
agree to disagree.
Done. All right. Do we want to talk about any new games coming out? We're running a little long, so we can breeze through some of these real quick.
Yeah, there's a few that might be worth mentioning that are hitting shelves right now. I thought that it was interesting that both King of Tokyo Origins and King of Tokyo Duel are hitting the shelves as we speak.
Yeah, I picked up Duel. I haven't played Origin. I didn't see Origins.
Origins is interesting. It's sort of touted as a King of Tokyo light, but the characters are different, so you could use it as an expansion. It only plays 4 players. So, King of Tokyo plays higher, I think up to 6, but this one will only play 4, and it introduces 4 new characters, and it's meant to be kind of a stripped down, easy, quick version of King of Tokyo. But I know a lot of people who are just buying it as an expansion to King of Tokyo, because you could just throw those characters in the core box.
Yeah. And I am really excited about the whole idea of King of Tokyo Duel to see how they manage the playing a 6-player game, because I think King of Tokyo thrives being a 6-player game.
I do too.
And to bring it down to a duel, I'm interested to see how that plays out.
I read the rules. It's kind of a tug of war on some tracks.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So there's a little give and take on a couple tracks and some things that are going on there. It seemed fine to me. I thought that it was a good implementation, but I haven't actually played it. I just read the rules. So I'll be really curious about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. BGG did have a copy of Tower Up that I checked out once. But Tower Up is out and about in the wild now, and this is one that, congratulations, an architectural firm has been selected to renovate the entire city downtown. And so it's, you're developing the city and managing what to put there, and you're picking cards, you're rolling some dice, you're managing your resources carefully to plan your constructions, and just trying to build up the city. I wish the cities, the pictures have some kind of the bamboo game.
Takanoko?
Thank you, Takanoko, where it has you're stacking up to your skyscrapers on that, and it's nice. It's workable. But you play a game like Skyrise where those buildings just kind of pop and stand out. And,
yeah,
and these have some tops that you're going to put on there dependent on your player color to represent this is your tower or whatnot. So I think it works out fine, but I'm still excited to play it. It looks interesting.
I think it looks fun. And I've actually heard that it plays pretty fast.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And on the plane, I was reading rules to Small City. And I think that one's going to be a fun one, too. So hopefully we can get that to the table, but along the same vein of building and developing your city. But anyways, Tower Up looks pretty fun. It's a pretty light game, too. It's under 2.0. It's 1.94, 2 to 4 players. But yeah, it plays under an hour. So good times. That one looks really good. While we were sitting in the airport after we played Hive Pocket, or just a Hive, I was reading these Kinfire...
Delve?
Yeah, these Kinfire Delve games.
Yeah, they look really interesting.
I am really intrigued with these. I think it's going to be fairly fun to put them together.
They're cooperative, right?
Yeah, it's a 2-player cooperative game, and if you have 2 copies of 2 different versions of Delve, you can actually go out and play a 4-player. And you could get 3 copies, which gives you 6 players, but the rules aren't. You can go 2 with 1 copy, or 4 with a different copy. And I'm pretty excited.
They're different flavors, though.
Yeah.
I think that is important, right? You're not talking about copies of the exact same thing.
Exactly.
It's different.
Yeah.
How many flavors are there? Are there
3 versions.
Okay, there's 3. All right.
And then you can also use these in your Kinfire Chronicles game as well, these characters as alternative art into the base game.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And the cards look really nice, and they're slick. They have some embossments on them that stand out. I think they're really good looking. I actually like these cards better than I did the Moon Rollers or the Moonrakers cards, because the shine doesn't interfere with reading some of the text sometimes. In Moonrakers, you have to shake that card a little bit so you can read the text clearly. But these Kinfire Delve, I think they're going to be fun. Simple little game.
I'm looking forward to trying them for sure. I did notice that for those who didn't back the Clans of Midgard and Reavers of Midgard, the card game bundle that Gray Fox Games did, those are starting to hit shelves, so you can now pick those up. They're going to be retail copies, because I do know that the Kickstarter came with a bunch of deluxe stuff. I don't know if I don't recall any of that stuff being exclusive, so you can probably still get those upgrades, but you'll have to either piecemeal those together or spend a little more money. I'm not sure which. We have all played Clans of Midgard. I brought it the one night and taught it. It's kind of a roll and write thing. I think we enjoyed it. I don't think it blew us away, but we enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Reavers of Midgard, the card game, is one we played twice while we were at BGGCON, and I think it was universally liked, though with some frustrations, because it has a negotiation element that
you have to be willing to negotiate.
You have to be willing to negotiate.
Sometimes you have to take the bad deal.
Exactly. Yeah. But that was one we played with Berkey, and he loved it, and he walloped us real good.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he destroyed us.
So, but those are all out on shelves. The Arc Nova Map Pack 2 is out. So if you're an Arc Nova fan and you want more of those the zoo maps with asymmetric abilities and powers, that's something to definitely go check out. And then I also noticed that all of the retail version stuff of Chronicles of Drunagor is finally hitting shelves. This is a fantastic game. It's one that we haven't, you guys haven't played, but I have played, and probably 10 to 11 missions into, and then we kind of stopped, but now we've got all the content. And so I'm hoping to get that started back up sometime soon. I think this is a phenomenal game. It's definitely going to be expensive to collect everything retail. You're going to be, if you collect all the different boxes of content and stuff, you're going to be hundreds of dollars. So this one could hit your wallet pretty hard. But if it's something you're interested in, do a little research, check it out, maybe pick up a core box or something like that. I think Chronicles of Drunagor is definitely worth checking out, and it's hitting shelves now.
Excellent.
I picked up a copy of Flock Together, which is also now available. And in this game, you are playing as different chickens trying to defeat the predators that are trying to infiltrate or get into the coop.
Chickens fighting back.
Chickens are fighting back. They're going to prove their worth. And this is awesome because you have every chicken's different. Every chicken has an asymmetrical ability, as do all of the predators. They kind of have cutesy tootsy little names. Play on word names, and what?
People just don't use the term cutesy tootsy enough anymore.
You're right. Let's bring.
We should incorporate that in a lot more of our sentences.
Oh, really? I was going the opposite direction. I was going to ask him if he really felt committed to using that phrase.
I am now. If I wasn't, I am now.
Awesome. Okay, I guess that's a thing now.
Cutesy tootsie.
It's the minute it got Nathan approval, it became thumbs up phrase. All right.
But you get to level up your chicken as well. So you have a little book that shows your chicken's abilities. Each page has some upgrades that you can do, and then when you actually level up, you flip to the next page. You have your higher level abilities that you again can unlock more stuff on that sheet. And also, as you're going through the different seasons, any of the predators that did not get defeated will also level up once they go into the season, and then you finally fight the mystery big bad predator that is random during the setup, and that will have extra health. And there's several ways to lose the game, one way to win, and it's a fully cooperative, kind of a fun, cutesy tootsy little game.
Wow.
That sounds so
I was
cute.
about to say, it sounds really cool. Like, I can't wait to try this amazing cooperative game.
No, it actually does look good.
Cutesy tootsie, and I was like, maybe.
No, it
looks good.
It does. It does look good. It looks fun. It looks, the names are clever. I say cutesy tootsie, but they're kind of clever names. My wife, I was reading some of the names and she was rolling her eyes. So they're kind of dad joke names.
Nice. All right. I'm interested. I'm in.
But no, it looks fun. So I'm excited to play it.
All right.
Awesome. I don't have any more stuff hitting the shelf, but I do have a couple of maybe just new game announcements that I wanted to throw out there.
All right.
First of all, Isle of Cats Duel.
Oh, good. We should get this to the table real quick.
The madness has got to stop with this. We've been joking around about it, and it's been a trend. And I keep thinking like it's going to end, or we're going to stop seeing these announcements, and they just keep coming. It's like the industry right now is obsessed with creating a dual version of everything.
Because people are buying them and playing them.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
It's really hard for us to get 2-player games to the table. And so it's something that I don't necessarily understand, but that must not be a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I'm way excited about them because these are great games that I can get with my wife now that my wife has become a lot more interested in playing games with me. And so being able to get some of these little simple dual games to the table, I think it's a phenomenal idea. But I can see that we run into, I mean, the worst one was the Dwarf Romantic that went from, we're just going to, it's a 4-player game. We're going to bring it back as a 2-player game. And now if you want to play it, you can always buy 2 copies and play a 4-player. So why don't you just buy the original?
Suckers.
Yeah. And having only played the original and not playing the dual, maybe there's something there I'm missing. I don't know. I mean, I have the dual box right there on the shelf.
Of course you do.
With its recharge pack, Andy. Didn't want you to miss that.
All right. I'm glad I didn't have to ask.
But yeah, no, it's I do see the fatigue of it for sure.
Yeah. Well, and having not really played any of them, for me, it's not even fatigue. It's like there just seems to be I don't know, the fervor has reached fever pitch, and we just keep seeing more and more and more of these. And I'm like, okay, really? Is there that much of a demand? Really? But when you said that, it kind of like when you're talking about a game that you could get to the table with your wife, I will say, most of them are I don't want to say dumbed down. That's not the right way of saying it.
A light version.
It's a light version, a watered down version of the game. And that does make it a little more accessible. So I get that. I do get that.
Yeah, even like moon rollers. I'll play moon rollers with my wife. There's no way I'm going to drop moon rakers on the table with my wife.
Just the box alone, she would say no way.
Yeah.
It's way too big.
Yep. She would this would probably be her exact words. It's like you've said, hey, let's play this Castles of Burgundy game. And she tries to get up from the table and run away. But Amara said, please.
Yep. And she liked it.
And she did. Yes, she very much liked it. But yeah, no, I do see the fatigue in some of these as not necessarily fatigue, but it's just like, oh, you're just trying to cash cow that out. And which, I mean, they are.
For sure.
That's
they definitely are. Yep.
That's the role of businesses.
Yeah, it was the same thing they did when all the roll and rights hit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure what they're
I
doing.
still do enjoy my roll and rights.
Some of them. Yeah, some of them are really good.
Some other cool games that are announced. Defenders of the Wild. This one looks kind of fun. It has a very similar feel as Root, but the artwork on alone is kind of a cross between Roots and Flamecraft. Makes me have a nostalgia for both of those.
Now, this is one you can go get now.
Yeah. Oh, is it available now?
I'm seeing it in shop. Yeah. Defenders of the Wild. You can go get it now.
All right. Well, go get it. Still looks pretty cool.
It does look cool, actually. I'm looking at pictures of it. It does look. I mean, it's got the little the cutesy tootsie woodland realm. I don't know about that, but it's got the woodland critter kind of vibe going on there, and it does look pretty interesting. That's
and the top line turns you kind of hesitant with you guys. Tactical area control meets fantasy venture in this card-driven cooperative game of animals. So putting all those together, that doesn't sound too bad.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Area control cooperative game.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how that goes. So I didn't realize this was available yet. So maybe I'll go sniffing around the internet and see what I find.
Yeah. See if you can maybe go find that one. I saw that next year, Gray Fox Games is going to be releasing a 10-year anniversary edition of Champions of Midgard.
That's cool.
So apparently, like from what I could read, there's not like a ton of information about it. It will include Valhalla and Dark Tower all rolled into one. So it'll be, the game with the expansions all put into one thing. Apparently, it's going to come with some pretty cool deluxe components.
Okay, I'll buy it.
And
Dang it.
And room in the box for the playmat.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's a big box. It's definitely going to be a bigger box.
Yeah.
It's not going to probably fit on a calyx, but apparently you can roll up the mat and put it in there. So
I love that.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So look forward to that. My hope is with these types of releases that they will offer, the stuff to just upgrade your current edition to the 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Because one of the things they did say, and this is important, they are retooling a lot of the cards. So they're rebalancing some of the stuff.
Oh, good. Okay.
And so I really hope that they have like an errata kit and have those deluxe components available for sale separately.
That would be amazing.
Because I probably don't need everything, especially where I already have the mat and everything else.
Yeah,
so,
I would agree.
But
no, it's a great game. That's awesome. And I'm glad they're releasing it as it should have been released originally with just everything. With Valhalla, at least Valhalla. But yeah, it should have all been released as one game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So that's something I've got my eye on. I think that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Champions of Midgard.
I've heard of it.
Have you? Have you played it?
I think we did play it once during the Super Bowl, and then you put the Super Bowl that I had zero interest.
No, that was Reavers of Midgard.
Oh, okay. Whew. Then I don't have to bring up that story.
So we played this with Dave once, and Caden was playing, and Caden was obsessed with fighting trolls because he had just started playing Skyrim, and he really liked fighting the trolls. So he would go to the trolls every time. And when you go to the trolls, you get to give the I can't remember what it's called, the disfavor.
terror, disfavor. Yeah, something like that. Yep.
You get to give one of those tokens to somebody. Well, he gave it to Dave every single round, all game long. Like he went to the trolls every turn and gave that to Dave all day long. It was like the best game ever.
Sometimes it's nice to play with your own kids. I don't want to make Dad mad.
No, I think it was just my kids like to mess with Dave a little bit. Caden in particular,
from.
I don't know, but Caden in particular does. And it was really fun to watch Dave just like, oh my gosh.
Again?
Again? That's fantastic. I also saw an announcement for Point Galaxy. So this looks a follow-up to Point Salad and then Point City, which I think both of those games are fine little games. They're they're not going to change your world. No. But both of them are very solid and they're easy to teach to new players. They come in a small, easily digestible box and have an easy to understand rule set and offer, I think, just enough crunch to make them worth your time and energy. I'm really excited to see what they do with Point Galaxy and how they make it different from the previous two. So I am excited about that.
Yeah, because I've played Point Salad quite a bit. And I've played Point City, and I like Point City quite a bit more.
They're both really good.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see where this goes. So I will give this a shot for sure.
Definitely. Nathan, did you have any new game announcements you wanted to cover before we just mention a couple of crowdfunding projects and then wrap this up?
No, we're running long on time, so I think we'll just run with it.
Okay. Well, I'll just throw these out really fast. These are all campaigns that will still be running by the time this episode drops. Things that I've had my eye on that I'm considering, but I'm not sure where I land on all these. First of all, over on GameFound, Awaken Realms is in the middle of their Lands of Evershade campaign. Of course, everything about this looks amazing because it's Awaken Realms, but it's also kind of their version of like an RPG that's been modified to be a little bit more of a board game. And I'm not sure where the balance of that is. I need to watch some videos and do a little more research on this. It looks incredible though, like all Awaken Realms stuff does. And so it's one that I've got my eye on. If you like Awaken Realms and you like RPGs and you like the crazy cool worlds and everything that they do, that might be one worth checking out. Over on Kickstarter, we've got Western Legends Stories, which is set in the Western Legends universe, but plays a little different. In this one, it's more about sort of building the town and telling some of those stories, surrounding that. It looks like a really interesting game, a little more narrative and text heavy than the original game was, but it looks like it's worth checking out anyway. I've definitely got my eye on it. And again, it's one that I need to go actually watch some videos. I hope they've got some good gameplay and stuff on there because I want to look at that. And then the last one that caught my eye, and it caught my eye mostly because it's from Shadowborn Games. These are the same folks that did Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. This is Avalon, the Riven Vale, and it looks phenomenal. They put a lot of passion into everything that they do. The components look good. The art looks good. However, this is a head-to-head area control direct conflict style game, which we just got through talking about.
Well, once again, it's head-to-head. So is this only 2 players?
Oh, when I say head-to-head, I guess I just mean it's no. Okay. It can play up to 4 for
2 to
sure.
4, yeah. Best at 2 or 4. Okay.
Yeah. So, it looks really fun. There's kind of an exploration part to it. You're gathering artifacts and building out your armies. I forget the different factions that you can play. You can take on like Merlin and the Druids. You can take on like Mordeth and the Undead. And then there's a couple others that you can face. One almost looked like the Naga from World of Warcraft. And I think one were like the human faction or whatever. But you pick a faction and you're entering the mists of Avalon and you're exploring the world, gathering loot and duking it out. So again, not really averse to this type of game, and especially if the strategy's there to make it a compelling, player versus player type experience. However, I always ask myself, because it's going to come with a hefty price tag because it's such a well-produced game. Is it one we're actually going to get to the table? Is it one we're actually going to get to the table more than once? Is having the game on the shelf going to be worth the price tag if it never gets played? So it's just one that I have my eye on. Again, Shadowborn Games, I really love them. I love their stuff. Love Oathsworn. I'm very interested in this. Just don't know if I'm going to back it yet.
Cool.
I get it. I get it. Those games get so out of hand sometimes.
They really do.
Looking to you, Tanar's Adventures.
Oh,
That would have been awesome if I had a grand to drop on that.
Just had a grand sitting under the table
It would have been nice.
we really needed to get Greg in on that sooner.
Yeah,
before his wife said no more games.
Before his wife said no more. Anyway, that's all I've got. I feel like we've had a great discussion here at the table, and man, BGGCon was awesome.
It was a blast.
It was great.
Yep.
Until next time.
We'll see you with those cutesy tootsie pajamas as you sit down to watch Big Trouble in Little China at the game table.
That might be me tonight, actually.
Nice. I'll come over and join you.
Sweet.
I'm still running on little sleep, but
Yeah.
I'm totally in
Yeah,
for it.
bring the popcorn.
Are you going to watch it at the game table?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's where you put the popcorn.
I'm out. I'm going to go to bed.
You wimp.
Wow.
Just because you're running on an hour of sleep like some champion.
Running on Red Bull.
Running on Red Bull. I can't wait till I bleed Red Bull.
I think we might be there.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.